Japan, 1645. Miyamoto Musashi was 62 years old and knew death was approaching. His body was marked by more than 60 duels, and not a single defeat. Alone, weak, and exhausted, he dragged himself into a cave in the Rigando Mountains. There were no disciples beside him, no family waiting for final words. Only silence, and it was there, in absolute solitude, that he wrote 21 short lines, words that would travel more than 400 years to reach you. These lines were not about how to win fights. They were about how to reprogram the mind, how to never again depend on others, never freeze under pressure, never break when everything collapses. Musashi was leaving behind a map for rebuilding a life from nothing, when all that remains is you and the silence. But Musashi did not begin as an invincible warrior at 13. He defeated his first opponent in a duel, but it was luck, not mastery. Between the ages of 20 and 29, he was skilled with the sword, but undisciplined in the mind. His mentality was simple: kill or be killed. He had not yet discovered hi-ho strategy as a way of life in those early years. Musashi won through brute force, speed, and intimidation, not through the calm reading of an opponent that he would later master. He had technique, but no inner control, until he encountered something the Japanese had understood for centuries. It was not secret combat. Techniques. It was philosophy. 4 principles that completely reprogrammed how he understood progress, purpose, imperfection, and loneliness. Kaizen, transformation through the imperceptible. Ikigai, the reason to wake up each morning. Wabi-Sabi, radical peace with what is broken, and the path of walking alone, without depending on anyone to continue. Of course, Musashi did not know these concepts exactly as we describe them today. Kaizen, for example, is a modern term popularized after World War II. But Musashi followed Shugu, the ancestor of Kaizen, austere, disciplined training. Shugyo was not about improving a system. It was about forging spirit and technique through relentless repetition and brutal correction of flaws. And did Musashi know the word Ikigai as we use it today? Probably not. The term existed in ancient roots, but it was not a self-help framework. Yet Musashi embodied it perfectly. His Ikigai was the way of the sword Hendo. For us, Ikigai means balance and happiness. For Musashi, it meant obsession and sacrifice. He wrote in the Dakoda, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake." His life's purpose was mastery, not happiness. Musashi applied these principles during real battles, not metaphors. And when he wrote his final teachings inside that cave, he was not leaving behind a combat manual. He was leaving a blueprint for those who must rebuild their lives when everything falls apart. 400 years later, those words still speak directly to us. They free us from the need for acceptance, not from the hunger for validation, from living to please everyone, while abandoning our own dreams. Code was not about isolation. It was about strength without witnesses, about standing firm when there is no audience, no applause, when only you and the truth remain. Musashi was not teaching how to be alone. He was revealing where true strength is born. Strength begins the moment you stop needing approval to continue walking. Modern world panics at loneliness. People check their phones over 150 times a day, not out of necessity, but fear of silence. Every notification becomes proof of existence. Studies show young adults spend nearly 7 hours a day on social media, connecting deeply with no one, while desperately avoiding themselves. Relationships are maintained not by love, but by fear of emptiness. Careers are chosen for status, not meaning. Opinions are formed by consensus, not conviction. In 4 centuries ago, Musashi already identified the disease, It is not loneliness. It is the inability to walk alone. It was a word Musashi never wrote, but lived until his final breath. Jiriki, absolute self-effort. Radical self-sufficiency, not arrogance, but freedom. Jiriki means understanding that no one is coming to save you. There is no secret master. No perfect moment, no magic opportunity. There is only you. The path and the choice to move forward or remain still. Waiting for someone else to carry you. Chapter 1. The collapse, when technique is not enough. Age of 28. Musashi faced Sasaki Kojiro, the most technically refined swordsman in Japan. Kojiro was precise, elegant, flawless. His movements were calculated like mathematics. Musashi was chaotic, improvised, unpredictable. And Musashi won. Not because he was technically superior, but because Kojiro expected perfection, while Musashi embraced uncertainty. Kojiro froze when chaos appeared. Musashi adapted. Now fast forward to San Francisco, 2019. Marcus was 31 years old, sitting alone in his kitchen. A product manager at a promising startup, he had spent 3 years building something that finally seemed to work. Until the pandemic arrived. In March 2020, the company cut 40% of its workforce. Marcus was one of them. The worst part wasn't losing the job, it was realizing his entire identity depended on that role. Without it, who was he? His girlfriend Rebecca tried to support him, but Marcus became endlessly sending resumes, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Weeks passed. Silence. He had skills, leadership, experience, but under pressure, he collapsed. Knowledge without inner control is like a sword without a hilt. Impossible to hold. Rebecca left in June, not because Marcus lost his job, but because he lost movement. Potential turned into self-pity. Motivation videos helped for 3 days. On the 4th, he stayed in bed because motivation is cheap fuel. It burns fast and leaves emptiness behind. Marcus needed something structural, something that changed not his actions, but his mind. And then he found an abandoned book in a cafe, The Way of the Lone Warrior. He opened it and read, "Accept everything just the way it is. Never stray from the path. Respect the gods, but do not rely on their help. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." And that is where reconstruction began. Chapter 2. Kaizen, the invisible rebuilding. When Musashi was 13, he defeated Arima Kihei, an adult samurai, not with elegance, but desperation. He threw him down and beat him with a wooden staff. It was ugly. It was chaotic. And Musashi knew it. Early victories planted arrogance. He believed force was enough. And that nearly killed him, because real mastery begins the moment brute force fails. And Musashi learned, slowly, painfully, that improvement is invisible, silent, and relentless. And that lesson still applies. B. When Musashi began facing swordsmen from established schools, he realized something brutal. He was still winning, but by increasingly smaller margins. He was surviving, not dominating. At 21, Musashi faced Yoshio Seiro, the leader of the prestigious Yoshioka school in Kyoto. It was the most important duel of his life up to that point. Musashi won by breaking Seijiro's arm with a brutal strike. But he left the duel knowing something was wrong. He had won through aggression, not mastery. And against a truly superior opponent, aggression alone would not be enough. It was at that moment that Musashi understood a truth most people never accept. Great leaps in skill do not exist. Mastery is built through microscopic adjustments, obsessively repeated. After that duel, Musashi completely changed his approach. He stopped trying to master dozens of new techniques at once. Instead, he chose a single principle, one movement, one concept, and trained it for weeks. sometimes months. This was Kaizen before it had a name. Transformation through daily improvement. Small changes so subtle, the brain cannot resist them. So consistent they become inevitable. Between the ages of 21 and 29, Musashi perfected this approach. While other samurai chased novelty, constantly learning new techniques, Musashi focused on fundamentals, timing, distance, posture, refining them by 1% every day. When he finally faced Sasaki Kojiro at age 29, widely considered the greatest swordsman in Japan, Musashi did not win because he was stronger or faster. He won through psychological strategy and complete mastery of micro-movement. Marcus read this, and his first reaction was disbelief. He needed fast results. A job, income, proof that he was still capable. But he was desperate enough to try. The first week, Marcus didn't even try to find a job. He didn't write a perfect resume. He didn't network aggressively. He committed to something absurdly small, opening LinkedIn for 2 minutes a day. Just opening it. No pressure to apply. No expectations. No judgment. It felt pathetic, but he did it. The second week, still 2 minutes. This time, he read a job posting. Any posting. It didn't have to be relevant. He didn't need to apply. Just read. The third week, he updated his profile 1 line at a time. Changing a comma. Adding a word. Fixing a space. It didn't matter. What mattered was daily movement, not size. On day 24, Marcus sent an application, not because someone forced him. Not because of motivation, but because resistance had disappeared. His brain no longer saw it as a threat. It was simply the next step in a habit that had been running quietly for weeks. Musashi trained like this for years after his duel with Kojiro. He never stopped practicing, but he never tried to change everything at once. One adjustment, one principle, one movement. In the end, the distance between him and every other swordsman became impossible to close. Not because of talent, but because he never stopped moving. Even at 60, shortly before his death, Musashi still practiced basic movements daily. Not to learn something new, but to refine what he already knew by 1% more. Marcus applied. Kaizen everywhere. A messy apartment. He cleaned a little each day. In 1 week, the kitchen was spotless. Out of shape. 10 push-ups a day. In a month, 300 without effort. Chaotic finances. 1 account analyzed per day. Most people do the opposite. They look at their lives and think, I need to change everything. Lose weight. Build a business. Learn a skill. Fix relationships. Organize life. And the brain shuts down. Big change activates the amygdala, the brain's threat detector. The result? You do nothing. Or you do everything for 3 days, then quit. Kaizen says, forget big leaps. Move 1%, but move every day without exception. The secret is not the size of the action. It is unwavering consistency. Chapter 3, Ikigai, the purpose no one. Explains Musashi won his first duel at 13. For the next 16 years, from 1597 to 1613, he became a killing machine. Had traveled Japan on a warrior's pilgrimage, hunting opponents to test himself. At 21, he destroyed Yoshioka Seiyuro, then his brother Denikuro, and finally the 12-year-old Madara Shichiro, along with dozens of Yoshioka members at the Battle of Ishijoji Pine. It was a massacre. Defeated the spear monks of Heizuen Temple, the best spearmen in Japan. He defeated Shishido Bacon, master of the chain and sickle. Wherever there was skill, Musashi appeared. Samurai feared him. Daimyo knew his name. Yet between 13 and 28, Musashi was only surviving and winning. He fought because he was good at it, because it was all he knew, because victory made him feel alive. Then something strange happened. After the duel with Kojiro, Musashi stopped accepting duels. For almost 10 years, from age 30 to 40, he disappeared from combat. Not from fear, but realization. He had won over 60 duels, killed many men, built a terrifying reputation, and felt empty. Victory without purpose is just noise. He wrote in the Book of 5 Rings. When I reached 30, I looked back on my past. My previous victories were not due to having mastered strategy. Musashi understood he had been a talented animal, not a master. During that decade, he transformed combat into something deeper. He studied calligraphy, painting, sculpture, poetry, not as hobbies, but because he realized the way of the sword was inseparable from the way of life. There he discovered what we now call Ikigai. Musashi never used the word, but he lived it. He became obsessed with universal strategy, reading opponents, predicting movement, adapting instantly. Feudal Japan needed discipline, not empty techniques. Daimyo paid him generously. In his final years, Musashi served the Hosokawa clan, not as a warrior, but as a strategist and teacher. This became his guiding principle by 40, and only by 50 did he fully understand the way of strategy. Marcus, 3 months into Kaizen, had 4 interviews scheduled, but something felt wrong. No fear, no excitement, no anxiety. He was applying on autopilot, high-paying jobs that meant nothing. Reading Musashi's transformation shattered him. Marcus realized he had chosen tech because it paid well and because everyone else had. He never loved it. He tolerated it. He spent a week alone answering 4 questions with brutal honesty. What did he love? Teaching. What was he good at? Simplifying complexity. What did the world need? People who lacked a map. What would they pay for? Guidance. Marcus didn't want to manage products anymore. He wanted to teach people how to build from zero. And for the first time in 8 months, he felt direction. Not motivation. Direction. Ikigai is not about finding your passion and blindly chasing it like a dog chasing a car. It is about discovering the precise intersection between what you do well, what has real value in the world, and what makes you feel alive. Without that intersection, you can make money but slowly die inside. Or you can love what you do and still starve. Ikigai is the relentless balance between these forces. Marcus canceled all 4 interviews. He sent polite emails declining the applications and chose something radically different. He began writing Twitter threads teaching product development concepts, short posts, 280 characters, 1% per day. Kaizen applied to Ikigai. He didn't expect followers. He didn't expect validation. He did it because it was the right path. In 6 weeks, he had 1,200 followers. In 3 months, he received his first consulting offer, $2,000 for 4 sessions. It didn't pay like his old job, which had paid $12,000 a month. But Marcus woke up with energy for the first time since March 2020. And you? Do you have an Ikigai? Or are you living on autopilot, doing what pays but slowly kills you inside, waking up every day without knowing why? Musashi spent 16 years winning duels, only to realize that victory without purpose is empty. He spent more than 20 years refining his understanding. And only at 50 did he truly understand. You have 2 choices. Spend decades learning the hard way, or answer the 4 questions now and save 30 years. Chapter 4. Wabi-Sabi. Peace. With the imperfect toward the end of his life, when Musashi wrote Da, he expressed principles that perfectly captured Wabi-Sabi. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Do not have personal preferences. He was saying that the pursuit of perfection and elegance is a prison. The effective warrior uses what works, not what looks beautiful. In later years, Musashi developed Niten Ichi Raier, the two-sword style. At the time, it was considered strange, unorthodox, even ugly. Traditional sword masters criticized it. Musashi didn't care. He cared about effectiveness. He also devoted himself to arts like calligraphy, painting, and sculpture. His works were deliberately imperfect, quick, irregular brushstrokes, intentional asymmetry, empty space. This was Wabi-Sabi in practice, strength and beauty in what is broken, unfinished, and imperfect. One of his most famous paintings, Shrike on a Dead Branch, uses only a few minimalist strokes. It looks unfinished, and that is precisely why it is powerful. Marcus was growing. 6 months after finding his Ikigai, he had 3 paying clients. Consistent Twitter content. Revenue covers basic expenses. Nothing explosive, but sustainable. Kaizen working. Then something stopped him again. This time, it wasn't a lack of direction, but it was perfectionism. He would spend 4 hours rewriting a 280-character tweet. He postponed launching a digital course because it wasn't ready. He recorded videos and deleted them because the lighting wasn't perfect. He compared himself to creators with 100,000 followers and thought, "I'll never get there. Why even try?" That's when he read about Musashi versus Kojiro again. Kojiro didn't lose despite being perfect. He lost because he was perfect. Musashi didn't win despite being imperfect. He won because he embraced imperfection as strength. Marcus realized he was becoming Kojiro, obsessed with polish. Prlysed by aesthetic approval, afraid to act until everything was flawless. He was hiding his flaws, being fired, losing the relationship, starting over at 31 while former colleagues were getting promoted. He believed he had to appear flawless to earn respect. Wabi-Sabi taught the opposite. Imperfection is not weakness, that is our strength. Marcus did something terrifying. He wrote a thread revealing everything. The humiliating Zoom dismissal, the breakup after 5 years, the months of paralysis, crying alone in an empty apartment, rejected applications, and a shrinking bank account. He posted it at 11 p.m. on a Thursday without rewriting it 50 times, without asking anyone's opinion, raw and imperfect, like Musashi's wooden sword. Then he went to sleep, convinced he had committed professional suicide. He woke up to chaos, 50,000 views, 800 comments. Most said the same thing. Me too. I'm living this right now. Thank you for being honest. Marcus learned a brutal truth. People don't connect with manufactured perfection. They connect with honest imperfection. Everyone has cracks, and when you hide yours, they feel alone. When you reveal them, they breathe. Wabi-Sabi is not about accepting mediocrity. It's about understanding that effectiveness matters more than polish. Musa. I didn't wait years to perfectly master 2 swords. He used them imperfectly and refined them in battle. Marcus launched his course. 4 lessons, recorded on his phone, slides made in free Canva, imperfect audio. He sold it to 12 people at $97, and used feedback to improve version 2. Then version 3. Kaizen applied to Wabi-Sabi. Start imperfect. Improve relentlessly. Are you paralyzed by perfection right now? Do you have a project you're delaying because it's not good enough yet? Kojiro had perfect technique and died. Musashi had a crude ore and lived. Wabi-Sabi gives you permission to be strategically imperfect. Not careless, but courageous enough to begin. Chapter 5. The Solitary Path, the Strength of Not Needing. Musashi walked alone for most of his life, not because he hated people, but because life taught him that dependence is vulnerability. Born in 1584 to a samurai family, his father abandoned him to serve a daimyo. His mother died young. Raised by an uncle, Musashi was expelled from his village at 13 after killing a Rimakihei in a duel. Too young for a clan. Too old to be protected. He didn't choose solitude. Solitude chose him, and it forged him. It taught him what warriors with armies never learn. You are strongest when you don't need anyone to survive. After defeating Kajiro at 29, Musashi vanished from public life. Records show he traveled alone, trained alone, and studied alone. He developed the two-sword style without a school, without students, without validation. Only at 50 did he accept service under the Hosokawa clan, not as a frontline warrior, but as a strategist. In 1645, knowing death was near, Musashi isolated himself completely. He entered the Rigando cave alone. No disciples, no family. And there he wrote Code, The Way of Walking Alone. 21 principles for those who depend on no one. Never stray from the path. Have no preferences. These were not theories. They were lessons forged through decades of solitude. Musashi understood something most people fear. People come and go. The path remains. Masters die. Clans fall. Friends betray. Not out of malice, but because life is impermanent. And if your strength depends on the presence of others, when they are gone, and they always are, you crumble. Musashi died alone in a cave in 1645. No one held his hand. No dramatic final words were recorded. But he did not die lonely. He died free, because he had built something no one could take away. Absolute autonomy. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the people you love don't matter, or that you should isolate yourself from the world. That's not the message. What I'm saying is this: do not depend on people. Do not build expectations around people, because people come and go, and do not seek external validation. That endless search has ruined countless lives. Marcus had rebuilt himself. Kaizen kept him moving forward. Ikigai gave him clear direction. Wabi-Sabi allowed imperfection. A year and a half after his breakdown, he was earning $8,000 a month teaching product development. It wasn't wealth, but it was freedom. Yet one crack remained: residual emotional dependence. He still checked Rebecca's Instagram every day. He still waited to be invited to events by former colleagues. He still needed likes to know whether he was doing well. He still measured progress by comparing himself to others. Then Marcus remembered Musashi's words: accept nothing but the path you have chosen. Marcus had chosen his path, building independently, teaching, creating. But he was still looking sideways, still measuring himself against external benchmarks. Musashi said, if you have chosen the path, follow it to the end. Marcus did something radical. He deactivated Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. He stopped tracking who was growing faster, who raised funding, who got promoted. He stopped comparing. For the first time, he felt inner silence, not emptiness, peace. No external noise telling him he was behind. No voice saying he should be somewhere else. There was only him and the path. Marcus wrote in his diary, they are on their path. I am on mine. If I need to look sideways to know if I'm doing well, I never will. He stopped stalking profiles, stopped asking about others, stopped measuring himself externally. Another principle of Dakodi struck him deeply. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Musashi wasn't saying life should be miserable. He was saying don't depend on pleasure to continue. Pleasure's temporary fuel. It comes and goes. But the path does not stop when pleasure disappears. Marcus realized he had been dependent on dopamine, likes, praise, new clients, to feel motivated. And on days without it, he froze. He stopped working. Hesperold, Musashi, who lived decades without an audience, understood something deeper. Build commitment, not pleasure. Marcus began working regardless of how he felt. Sad, he worked. Happy, he worked. Unmotivated, he worked, motivated. He worked. His emotions stopped controlling his actions. The solitary path was never about rejecting help or refusing collaboration. It was about building such strong inner stability that you can stand alone. And when you can stand alone, you can choose to walk with others out of love, not necessity. Marcus no longer needed Rebecca to feel complete. He no longer needed validation to feel progress. He no longer needed applause to keep creating. And that didn't make him cold. It made him free. Because when you don't need anyone to keep going, no one can stop you. That is the paradox of the solitary path Musashi discovered. Forced solitude that became chosen strength. When you learn to walk alone, you can walk with others without fear of abandonment. Because if they leave, you continue. Not out of stubbornness, but because the path is yours. It always was, that always will be. What science says this isn't just philosophy. Dr. Robert Moore, a UCLA psychologist and expert on Kaizen, explains that the amygdala, the brain's threat detector, resists large change. But microscopic 1% improvements bypass resistance and allow habits to form naturally. Regarding Ikigai, studies of Okinawan centenarians show that longevity wasn't driven by genetics or diet alone, but by clear purpose. People without Ikigai had a 50 to 60% higher risk of cardiovascular disease. Wabi-Sabi aligns with Brené Brown's research on vulnerability. The most connected people aren't those who hide flaws, but those who reveal them. Manufactured perfection creates distance. Honest imperfection creates connection. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman explains that self-reliance strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the center of decision-making and emotional regulation. Chronic dependence on external validation keeps the amygdala in constant alert, creating anxiety and weakening independence. Musashi didn't know neuroscience. He had 60 duels and a lifetime of solitude. Marcus applied the 4 principles for 24 months straight. Kaizen to 1% improvement daily. Ikigai. Unwavering direction. Wabi-Sabi. Productive imperfection. The solitary path, inner strength. Something unexpected happened. Rebecca messaged him, not asking to return, but saying she had watched his growth and was proud. Marcus felt nothing. No anger. No longing. No need. Just calm neutrality. 2.5 years after his collapse, Marcus earned $15,000 a month, teaching others how to build independently because he applied 1%. Improvement for 912 consecutive days. How to apply this? Choose one area of your life that is stuck, not all of them. Career, health, creativity, finances. Apply Kaizen. What is the smallest possible action you can take today? Not impressive. Not perfect. Small. Then answer the 4 Ikigai questions honestly. Start imperfect. Launch the ugly version. Improve through reality. Finally, cut 1 emotional dependency. Stop measuring yourself through others. Build inner sufficiency. When you no longer need people to continue, you can walk with them freely. Musashi died alone in 1645, but not lonely. He died free. That freedom reached Marcus in 2020. And now, it has reached you.